Hi, I'm Paul Modiano from Logical Developers, and in this video I'm going to show you how to rename an IronSpeed Designer application's project name. So to begin with, why would you want to change the name of your application? Well, the most common reason is that you may not have settled on a name when you first created the application. It might be My App 1 or My App 99. That is usually the case. But there are other possible reasons. For example, even if you change your application folder name, which might be your first attempt at changing the name, the old application name permeates every file throughout the solution, including the namespace. The original project name is everywhere, and you might want to fix that. Another good reason is that all generated stored procedures have names that include the original name. So I'm going to show you how to get around what you need to do in order to change that name throughout the application. Now, there is a checklist that we have to go through, and the first thing is that no tables or views in the underlying database may contain the original project name. This is important because we're going to be doing searches and replaces, and any tables or views that are in the system have classes named after them, and if we change those names through a search and replace, it will destroy the application. Okay. The second part of the checklist is you must have a version of Microsoft Visual Studio that corresponds to the framework version of your application. So if you have all of that, then we're good to go. The only other thing I would suggest is before going and doing anything, back up your application, make a copy, put it aside, just in case things go badly. Okay, well, in order to best illustrate why you would rename an application, I'm going to show you our very poorly named application, which was in fact a real name, chosen by yours truly, Logical Oats, which originally I thought was clever because it had logical after our company Logical Developers, and Oats, an acronym for an online assessment tool system. But after experiencing the snickering and laughter of others, decided to change it to another name. Of course, we did start by changing the logo and changing the application's look and feel so that the new name, Assessment Masters, which is also the name of the URL, could illustrate the new name. But throughout the original application, Logical Oats was everywhere. To rename the app, the first step is to open it up in Visual Studio, and we're going to do that now. And you can see that there it is, Logical Oats, and everything underneath it, all the files, present themselves. And we're going to go ahead, and under Edit, we're going to find the Find and Replace, and I'm going to say Quick Replace, and it brings up the dialog box, and what I'm going to do is type Logical Oats, which you see will be replaced with Assessment Masters for the entire solution. And I'm going to hit Replace All. And you're going to see that it's going to go through a great number of files. Now, I didn't want you to wait while the whole thing was going on because it did take a couple more minutes to complete. And the first thing I got out of this was inconsistent line endings. I always say yes to this. Hit this a couple of times. Eventually they go away. And underneath it all, what we'll find is a notification that 2,608 occurrences have been replaced. Now, one thing that you should note is that it may change things in your web config. It may change database names, things like that. Take a look for those changes in your web config. The other very important piece to this is that if you ran this program right now, it would fail. Because one thing that it did change were your resource files. And the problem with that is that resource files, when IronSpeed names them, are named after your project name. So what we're going to want to do is go into those resource files and change them back. So let's do that. And Just close these down, and here we have our global resources, and we see that the file names are still logical oats, but now the system would rather see assessment masters for our language files. Now, if you're using multiple languages, you're going to have more of these files, one for each language. So just go in and manually change those to the new name. And then finally, for the last one, change that resource file over. And we're done. So after you do that, after you make sure that your connection string and your web config are okay, you only need to do a couple more things. You may want to change your database name, but the original database has stored procedures that have been named after the project. The last change we're going to want to make to our project in Visual Studio is to highlight the solution and change the solution name to Assessment Masters. And then we're good. Looking at the database, we see all of these logical oats stored procedures that were generated by IronSpeed Designer. And so the best way to deal with that is to delete those stored procedures. If you have no other stored procedures, you could run a script like this, many of which can be found all over the web, that'll delete all your stored procedures. And after you do that, the final step would be to go back into IronSpeed Designer, load up your application, and under the Build menu, click on Regenerate and Reload Stored Procedures. That'll put all the stored procedures back onto your database. After that, take a look at your stored procedures and you'll see they'll all be renamed, and you will not have littered old stored procedures with the other project name in your SQL database. At this point, you're done. All you have to do really is close IronSpeed Designer, rename the application directory, and reopen the application in IronSpeed Designer, and you're ready to go. You have a renamed application. I hope that this video was helpful. For more information, please visit logicaldevelopers.com or the forums or the knowledge base at ironspeed.com. Thanks for watching.